Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com. Got Bob behind the camera today. Up here on an incredibly foggy day at Stowe. Just finishing up about a week kind of focused test on these Maverick 88 TIs. Great ski. Back again for another season next year. No changes to it construction wise or shape or anything. Just a snazzy new top sheet graphic. I think the best Maverick graphics we've ever had for 2024, so that's pretty cool. About to descend into the unknown here, but should be a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun on these skis. I think it's going to be fun to chat about them. You know, like I said, not a brand new ski, but still a fun discussion, and we've talked a lot more about the 95 and 100 over the past couple years, so kind of exciting to give this 88 a little bit more of the Ski Essentials treatment. So wish me luck as I ski practically blind here, and we'll meet you back in the studio in a little bit. Hey skiers, here we are back in the studio. Bit of a struggle today. I feel like that's been the theme this year.
Yeah, but you know, we're doing the best we can with what we have to deal with, and we're moving on.
Yeah, I just feel like there have been a number of videos this year where like tough visibility or tough conditions or something, but you know, I suppose it actually makes for good testing when the conditions aren't perfect.
It gives you a good sense of the ski's like confidence level.
Totally.
I think.
Yeah. I remember last year there were a couple moments when like the skiing was just so good that it was like, I was like, yeah, of course this is awesome.
Right.
So yeah, as much as I would like to have better conditions and a bunch of powder days and sunny skies, it's been worthwhile testing.
I think so too.
So Bob, you've got the new 2024 Maverick 88 Ti over there. I've got the 2023 graphic right here. The ski does not changed, as we mentioned in the intro, for 2024, aside from that snazzy new top sheet graphic. Really like the gray. I like the 95 and the 100 too for 2024.
Yeah, all the graphics for next year look great.
Yep. The other thing that I wanted to mention before we get into it is the price does tick up $50. So here we're at $599.95. Going to bump up to $649.95 next year, and it's really just it's the same story that we've been telling.
Yep.
Not just in the ski industry. It's kind of worldwide. Just production costs are going up, material costs are going up, and we're starting to see that reflected in skis. So if you are interested in a Maverick 88 Ti, you could pick up this one right now and save $50 in theory.
Yep, and no change in skiing.
Nope. Performance and feel and yep. So yeah, you're $50 more for, I would say, an objectively better graphic and orange sidewalls.
I think they'll just pop better on the store in the stores as well.
I think so, and that's like interesting to talk about before we get into the details. Is like, yeah, it still feels like these Mavericks haven't really caught on as much as we kind of expected them to.
Yep.
There's a lot of skis that are, I'd say actually a lot of skis that are similar, kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum to this ski that have earned a lot more popularity. So it raises the question of like, why not this?
Well, maybe we can answer some of those
questions.
Maybe.
So, Bob, do you want to kind of give us a refresher on construction, particularly the Omatic core?
Yeah, and Omatic is funny because I think they meant it to be an anagram of atomic. But
it is.
It's not a real word. So can an anagram be something that's not a real word, or does it have to be a real word?
I don't think it has to be a real word.
Well, at any rate, they've shuffled the letters of atomic to come up with Omatic, and that is how they describe this construction. So really a couple of things stand out, and the first one that we talk about is the thinness of the poplar wood core.
Yeah.
So they really do a good job at milling this thing thinly, and appropriate for the other characteristics that we'll talk about soon.
Totally.
So they really do a good job of keeping that wood core thick. I think this orange sidewall is great for these
Demonstration
visuals.
purposes. Totally.
Full
Love
sidewall underfoot with that poplar wood core, and as it extends to the tips and tails, that gets thinner. We do have 2 sheets of fiberglass top and bottom, and 2 Titano laminates top and bottom as well. So for a ski at this weight, it really is impressive on how they're able to fit kind of those 2 sheets of metal in here, combined with that wood core and fiberglass. Jeff has that 176 on the scale. We're just under 1,700 grams.
Super light.
Yeah, the catalog puts this one at 1,800 grams, and I believe them. We looked it up on Sooth. It's plus or minus 30 grams.
Yep.
So pretty light for having 2 sheets of metal in this thing. And that's pretty much it. The ingredients aren't very special. It's poplar wood, 2 sheets of metal, 2 sheets of fiberglass. We're not dealing with a ton of outrageous materials here.
It's more just like how they put them together.
How they put them together, and we saw it with the Vantage Series skis when they used their Pro Light construction.
Great memory.
My goodness, I don't know how I did that. Pro Light construction, basically a minimalistic way of building a ski from the base up. So eliminating unnecessary materials.
Yep.
Some of that filters into here, and it makes sense kind of when we get into the shape and profile as well. So construction materials, pretty straightforward, and then how they go into the ski from that profile perspective, I think makes sense. So I'll put these 2 together here.
Sure. We transitioning to shape here, Bob?
I think it makes sense because of the flow profile.
I love it. I have one stepping stone that I would like to add as we transition into shape here, as we flow into the shape conversation. The kind of partial cap construction in the tips and tails, I think, is very interesting and does kind of correspond to how they feel. So I just wanted to point that out before we get lost in shape.
I was hoping to kind of incorporate that into the flow.
Okay, I ruined it. I'm sorry, I blew it.
There's no ruining. As Jeff was saying, though, that sidewall tapers right into a DuraCap construction. So they go from sidewall to cap, and that's where the rocker starts. So this is kind of the whole thing coming together.
Yep.
And it makes a lot of sense, especially when we talk about the performance and how this thing works. But not a ton of tip rocker, 15% they say, and then same with tail rocker, 10%. So not a whole lot, pretty flat, straightforward tail with minimal splay. But all of that kind of goes together to make this ski perform like it does. The only other thing that's really interesting about it is their use of horizon tech in this one. So and this is what we see in bent skis as well as the other Mavericks, where they're kind of curving this tip shape here to make it act like a boat hull and gives it better flotation. Makes sense, I think in the wider skis.
Yep.
I'd like to see how this thing would do without horizon in the 88.
I think that'd be an interesting test.
But then again, it gives this thing a floatier feel in the front versus some other 88 millimeter 90 underfoot skis.
Yeah, and I think I feel like if you took out horizon tech, it would be interesting, but then I think it would be too similar to other skis on the market, where it does feel like it has carved a nice little niche for itself kind of right in between everything, which we can get to as we talk performance here. And the reason that I was inspired to do this review now, we were in Loon 2 weeks ago skiing with Atomic.
In the rain.
There was firm snow, pretty frozen trails and spots. We were on that trail with bee netting on the sides, and I don't know what it's called, but it's clearly a race trail. And
Coolidge Street, great race trail.
Your knowledge of Loon always impresses me, Bob. But that was pretty firm snow conditions, and I was not blown away, but it was a really nice reminder for me how much edge grip that thing has. It we were just chatting before we turned the camera on, and I feel like these skis are counterintuitive in how strong they are. Like when I click into a Maverick 88 Ti, it feels light, and it also feels kind of soft, like particularly up here.
Yep.
So which isn't a bad thing, you know. Those are like beneficial characteristics to a ski, especially when we start talking about off-piste performance and stuff like that. But the way that it kind of has like a more supple flex in its extremities, coupled with the weight, every single time I click in, I'm like, I can't ski this thing that hard.
Right.
Like I gotta be careful here, where it's really the opposite of that. You can actually ski it really, really hard, and it loves it. Like the grip is great. It's really strong. For me, it feels stronger from tail back than it does in the shovel, and I wonder if maybe there's like a difference in how it feels based on our weight. But I love ripping carves on this thing.
Yeah.
It's like really rewarding because it like blurs or blends the, like what did I say? Like bent 90 combined with a core 93. But the way I feel like it carves is more like you're combining like Enforcer 88 and core 87 or core 93.
Yeah.
Because it has the power and strength, but then it gets like more of a snappy finish or like bouncy finish out of a turn that I find is sometimes, I guess Enforcer 88 has a bit of that, but some skis with like a lot of metal can just feel more planted and more just damp.
Right.
Where this has the strength from the metal, but more snap and kick to it.
I think a lot of that, and like I feel those same things, and a lot of that is because that the center of mass in the ski is definitely more central.
Yeah.
So as it tapers, you're feeling that increase in flexibility.
Right.
But the fact that the metal extends through it gives you that energy. So yeah, I totally agree. It's that blend of rock solid performance underfoot.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way from midpoint back. Like this thing is an animal.
Absolutely.
You know, like
right.
this is just a crazy stiff tail.
Yeah.
You know, like especially from here to here where that sidewall ends.
Yes.
You do get that little bit of playfulness at the very end, but man, when this thing is, you know, engaged and you're rocketing out of a turn.
Yeah, or even like pushing a little bit
Yeah.
out of your heel, like it really feels strong.
But I think that's like a good part of that design is that they're able to really get that good grip underfoot and keep it, you know, reasonable on the ends.
Right.
You know, if you're putting this full sidewall all the way to the end, then we're on a Brahma. You know, and it's a totally different animal.
Exactly. So it is interesting, and kind of like the last thing I wanted to say, like speaking specifically to carves is, well, actually I have a few more thoughts, but like big high speed turns like that, where you're kind of asking a lot about of the ski, you do have to be a little bit more careful than on something like a Brahma.
Yep.
Because the ski doesn't have just like limitless, I guess stability, but I don't know that stability is the best word. It's more how it tracks. Like it will get bumped around and deflected a little bit more than those heavier, stiffer skis that don't have horizon tech, that have less tip rocker, stuff like that. So it's not necessarily like a limitation of what you can do on the ski. It's more a limitation of like how stupid you can be when you're on them.
Yeah.
Like on a Brahma, you can be pretty stupid, and the ski just kind of saves you.
Right, goes along right with you. Yeah.
Right, and like I don't know that that's a good thing or not. It depends on what you like to do when you're skiing.
Right.
You can't really do that on this, but you gain a lot of stuff because of that. And the other thing that I think I should add about carving is, because they have that snappier finish and they are a little softer up here in the forebody of the ski, they feel great not going fast.
Yep.
They feel great just kind of cruising around at moderate speeds. Maybe not like the most dynamic finish to a carve when you're not going fast, but just fine.
Yeah. And like a little bit longer of a turn radius in these too. We didn't get on that, but 19.2 in this 184 and 19.4 and I think 18.2
Yeah.
in the 176. So a little bit longer than
Right.
what we see in the competition. I think it pairs well with the flex of the ski.
I do too, because you can like make up for that by how much you can bend the tip.
Right. And if it were a shorter turn radius, the precision of the ski would make it really want to dig
It
in.
would, yeah, it'd be too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think about that until maybe our third day out. I'm like, oh, this thing's got a long arc.
Yeah.
And then, the wheels start spinning. You're like, oh,
Right.
good thing.
Because you can manipulate it more with
Yeah.
how you're bending the tip and
Yeah.
how you're entering a turn. If you want it to make a shorter, snappier, snortier turn. So yeah, they're fun. It's a really cool blend of like a bunch of different skis that are out
Yeah.
there. Like there's some ripstick feel in it, there's some core feel in it, and then like all those other skis with 2 sheets of metal that we talk about all the time. There's plenty of that in there too.
Sure.
So it's a pretty impressive mix, I'd say.
Yeah.
On the front side application, and at 88 underfoot, we all know that most people that are shopping in this category are spending at least a considerable amount of time on the front side.
Totally.
Now, I think the things that take away some of its just endless stability and stuff like that, that's where you really start to feel the benefit kind of more in a short turn off-piste scenario. It's still a bummer that we don't have better off-piste terrain here in Stowe, but thankfully, this is the third iteration of this ski,
Right.
so we've skied it all over the place right
yeah.
now. We might not have footage of us skiing it on that gray and orange pair there, but how do you feel in moguls and trees on the 88? We've talked about the 100 and the 95.
Yeah.
We both agree that those do great in the trees. What do you think about this 88?
Yeah, I mean, the feather in the cap for this thing is quickness and agility.
Yeah.
It's just so quick. It's easy to get around. It tops out at a 184, so it's not like you're searching for more ski out of it.
Right.
The other day when you were filming Emily Moore and we were skiing Hayride, and it did have those moguls and that line, so I don't think I was on film that day, but skied that line pretty consistently.
Yep.
Where, our early season moguls basically consist of a mogul, 15 feet of ice, and another mogul, and then progressing on.
Right.
And that's just how it is sometimes, and
Yep.
you got to deal with that. Having the blend of edge grip for the ice in between, as well as that agility in the tips and tails, worked really well for that.
Yeah.
Pretty much a similar overall footprint as the Bent 90, which I love in the moguls.
Right.
So it's going to do those quick zipper lines really well in addition. And then for trees, I mean, this is where the Horizon Tech shines. Making it able for you to, really just get that tip around,
Yeah.
make those quick turns. Again, like here in Vermont, we have pretty tight trees. So having quickness and agility is just a huge bonus for a ski. And then add to that the fact that you can pop back on the trail, right back into your GS turns.
Right.
So again, the versatility and kind of the overall maneuverability of the ski really stands out for those applications.
Yep.
For me on the carve turns, it's stiff from here back. I definitely do feel like I push through it a little bit in the front.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Right.
You just move back your point of entry a little bit.
Exactly. You can't ask too much from like this portion of the ski.
Yeah.
And I feel that too. And you can kind of stuff it pretty
Yeah.
easily if you do something stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's I don't think that's a big downside.
No.
Like it's fine.
Yep.
It's just a design characteristic, or it's a performance characteristics, and it's intentional.
Right. It's a give and take.
Right.
Yeah. If
Right.
they wanted it to be the most stable ski, it wouldn't look anything like this.
Right. It would look completely different in this portion of
Right.
the ski, and you could change it a ton just right here.
Right.
The one thing that I experience when making shorter turns and variable snow and stuff like that is and this feels similar to when we talked about head cores. I think it's better for a pretty technical skier, like
Yeah.
someone with good technique. I feel like if you're like a little bit looser with your skiing style, it's not that it can't do that, but it doesn't love it. Like if you're just making like vague kind of broad moves, the ski it because it's pretty light and pretty stiff, it'll hook up and it'll want to do something, which isn't like, again, it's not a downside. It's just something to consider. It's not like a slarvy. It doesn't have like willingness to do anything, sort of. Like you should turn, and then you should make the next turn, and then the next turn, and you should do it properly. And when you ski like that, the ski really rewards it. If you let yourself into the back seat, then like the tips can kind of start wandering a little bit. And not that that doesn't happen on other skis. I think maybe just because the ski is so light, I notice it more. If my technique starts to go out the window, I'm like, whoa, skis are all over the place. I gotta ski better.
Yeah, you don't want to get on the wrong side of these tails.
Right.
You do like same thing with the core, like you said.
Right.
You don't want to get on their bad side.
Right. Which isn't like it's not like a negative aspect of the ski.
Yeah.
It's just something to consider.
Yeah.
And if you don't consider yourself a very technical skier, like Atomic makes a ton of skis for you.
Right.
Like go buy a bent 90 or a bent 100, and like that ski's not going to beat you up in the same scenarios if your weight gets in the back seat, or if you make a move that maybe wasn't the right thing to do in that spot, and then all of a sudden you're kind of in trouble. Like those skis are more forgiving, where this ski, I think you'll feel it a little more.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Great ski. Bob, anything else you want to add about it?
I don't think so. Just that it definitely has that in between a lot of these skis that we talk about type of performance.
Yeah.
High ceiling, operates well at low threshold, low speeds, but really just has that nice blend of attributes. It's not a Brahma, it's not a Kendo.
Nope.
It's more aggressive than a ripstick.
Yeah,
It's right in this kind of middle zone.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And, it's also interesting that it is just the thinness of it really stands out.
Yeah, it always feels like a carving knife.
It's a knife.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Especially in those situations where you're making like kind of giant slalom style carves, is like, I think we mentioned this another time recently, like if you glance down at your tips, which again, like don't
I love doing it.
I know, I do too. But when you do like kind of catch a glimpse of your skis when they're at a high edge angle, it literally looks like a knife.
Yeah.
Like the tip is so thin that it just feels like you're cutting right into the snow surface, and then the rest of the ski is strong and precise, and like really just like you're carving a turkey or something. It really truly is like a carving knife.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting ski, like totally different than other stuff.
Yeah.
There's not...
Which is great.
We've mentioned more skis, I think, in describing this than we do other times.
I think
believe
so.
that it doesn't have such a direct comparison.
Right.
So, pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like what's the closest ski to a Maverick? I don't even really know where to start to answer that. It's not declivity.
No. Like maybe
not M Pro.
I don't like a faction dancer.
I don't I don't know, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like Atomic has kind of their own thing here.
Yep.
Which I like.
Yeah, it's great. Let's ski it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna ski it again. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great ski. It's a lot of fun. Like if you've got a perfect groomer day, it's a blast.
Yeah.
It's a blast. Like there were a couple moments when we had bumpy firm groomers, and there were like some situations where, again, like kind of going back to that like technique thing, and like you can't weight the tip too much, and it can get a little unnerving if you're skiing like really fast on super firm and also bumpy terrain. But if you've got good snow conditions and good technique and stuff like that, like it's an extremely rewarding ski.
Yeah, it's pretty clean.
Yeah, super fun. So let us know if you have any questions about the Maverick 88 Ti. Again, back unchanged for 2024. Not too many changes in the Atomic line in general for 2024.
No, just all new art, pretty much.
Yep, a couple new Redsters that we'll chat about at some point.
Yep.
So let us know if you've got any questions about the Atomic line in general, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.